G'day you mob and welcome to Aussie English. I am your host Pete and my objective here is to teach you guys the English spoken down under. So whether you want to sound like a fair dinkum Aussie or you just want to understand what the flippin' hell we're on about when we're having a yarn, you've come to the right place. So sit back, grab a cuppa and enjoy Aussie English. Let's go. G'day you mob, how's it going? Welcome back to the Aussie English podcast. This is the number one place for anyone and everyone wanting to learn Australian English, and I am your host, Peter Smithson. So I hope you guys are going well. Today, I wanted to create a little episode about an email I just sent out to you guys. So you'll have probably received this a week or two prior to hearing this episode, but I wanted to talk about one of the biggest accent mistakes I see learners make all the time. So as you guys probably are aware, I'm doing a lot of private lessons at the moment. And if you're interested, feel free to shoot me an email, pete@aussieenglish.com.au, or message me on Facebook or Instagram. But anyway, I was sending out this email to talk about the biggest accent mistakes that my students make. And yeah, I thought I would turn this into a podcast episode. So the biggest accent mistake, it's a bit of a sneaky one. It feels like the right thing to do, but it actually keeps you stuck sounding unnatural when speaking English, no matter how good your grammar is or your vocab is. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so here's what happens. Many learners think, if I want to sound clearer, I should pronounce every single word perfectly in a sentence. So they'll slow everything down and they'll hit each syllable one by one and speak like this. I am going to the shop, or some variant, right? It's probably not that slow, but you get the idea. They slow down, they evenly stress every single syllable in the phrase, and it's a little unnatural for us. Another example might be, I have to study for my test, right? And we can speed that up. I have to study for my test. Again, it's intelligible, we can understand what you're saying, assuming you're not speaking too quickly and using large words where the stress or emphasis is quite important on understanding what they are. But yeah, technically there's nothing wrong here with these sentences. Every sound is fine, every sound is there, it's clear, we will understand you, but there's a problem. Real Aussies don't speak like that. Real English speakers of any dialect of English pretty much don't speak like that, if that makes sense. So we don't separate every word like that or every syllable. We don't pronounce every single vowel carefully, and we definitely don't speak like we're reading from a textbook like a robot. If you do that, you'll sound quite robotic, a bit stiff, and it'll be harder for people to follow you naturally if you're speaking quickly, okay? All right, so accent isn't just about how you pronounce the sounds, it's also about the rhythm, the music of the language. In English, and especially Australian English, some syllables are going to be strong, some are going to be stressed, some are going to be weak, short, and reduced, and words link and blend together to keep the rhythm smooth when speaking. So you'll say an entire phrase, something like, I'm going to go to the beach, and it just sounds like one long word, doesn't it? As opposed to, I am going to go to the beach. So if you break this rhythm by over-pronouncing the syllables, the words, the sounds in the sentences, your speech stands out in a way that feels not quite right to native ears, even if the pronunciation of each sound is technically correct, right? So which sounds more natural? If I said, I'm going to go to the beach this weekend versus I am going to go to the beach this weekend, which sounds more natural and is easier to understand? And it'll be the same for you guys. If I speak slowly like that and sort of break up all the different syllables and everything, it should actually be harder for you to understand than if I speak naturally, because most of the English that you'll be hearing will be using these rules, okay? So how Aussies actually say it. Let's take a simple sentence. We'll go through this. Again, we use that example at the start. I am going to the shop. This would be like the textbook version that you see. You see all the words separated out evenly, spaced out, and you think I need to pronounce every single one of these to be clearly understood and to sound natural. You will be understood, but you won't sound natural. So now here's how Aussies would actually say this sentence. I'm going to go to the shop. Did you hear the difference there? I am going to go to the shop. I'm going to go to the shop. I'm going to go to the shop. It sounds like one big word, right? And there's a whole bunch of these little rules that are happening there with stress, reductions, linking and blending different words together so that it sounds more natural when we speak. I am going to go to the shop. I'm going to go to the shop. You hear how quick it is too, right? I'm going to go to the shop. So let's break it down a little bit. So I am going to, that can become I'm gonna. So you could say I'm going to go to the shop if you wanted. But in Australian English, we can contract this even further. Just I am going to I'm gonna. I'm gonna. 3 syllables. I'm gonna. I'm gonna. And you'll hear the first syllable is stressed. I, and then the other 2 aren't, and they're given the schwa vowel sound. I'm gonna. I'm gonna go to the shop. I'm gonna go to the shop. To that, what happens to the little prepositional phrase here, or preposition and article, to the, or to the? You'll notice it becomes go to the, da-the. You won't hear a strong T sound. You'll hear 2 schwa sounds, da-the, da-the. And it's just faster to say. We've reduced it, you know? I'm going to go to the shops. I'm going to go to the shops. The T has actually become like a T flap because it's surrounded by vowels. So it's got the vowel at the end of go, and then it's also got that vowel inside of the word to, which becomes t, or the schwa, So you get go to the, go to the, go to the. The stress beats fall naturally on gonna and shop as well. So you'll hear I'm gonna, or I'm gonna go to the shop. I'm gonna go to the shop. I'm gonna go to the shop. So those are the important words that are getting stressed. The other ones sort of reduced and get out of the way, if that makes sense. I'm going to go to the shop. I'm gonna go to the shop. I'm gonna go to the shop. I'm going to go to the shop. See how it flows? So let's do a few more examples here. So repeat after me if you can. Do you want to grab a coffee? Do you want to grab a coffee? I would love to join you. I'd love to join you. We are going to head off soon. We're going to head off soon. What do you reckon? What do you reckon? So there you go. If you go back and listen to those again, you'll notice that a lot of reductions happen. You'll hear want to becoming wanna. You'll hear going to becoming gonna. You'll hear to join you becoming to join ya. And you'll hear what do you becoming what are ya. So these are absolutely normal. Aussies use them constantly every single day, even in formal situations. Even if you were in a very formal situation, you would still use a lot of these contractions. You know, if I was giving a speech, I might articulate a little bit more, I might slow down a little bit, but I would still use a lot of these spoken contractions. All right, so why this keeps learners stuck? Imagine you've got excellent grammar, you've got thousands of words in your vocabulary, but if your speech rhythm is off, if you're stressing the wrong syllables or stressing them all the same way, or you're pronouncing everything too carefully, native speakers will subconsciously find it harder to follow you, a bit tiring to listen to, and less natural overall. And this is why so many learners hit that plateau at the intermediate level and find advancing a little more difficult. You know, a lot of the learners that I work with, a lot of my private students are quite often professionals working in like engineering, IT, medicine, and their ultimate goal is to try and just sound more natural. They just want to communicate with ease. They want people to understand them. And that doesn't mean that they need to completely remove their foreign accent and sound exactly like an Australian, but it means if they learn these rules and they apply these rules when speaking, even if they have a foreign accent, they suddenly become much easier to understand. And it's night and day. I'll be working with some of my students and they'll say, I'll get a list of sentences with these contractions and reductions and everything. They'll say it the first time and it'll be a bit clunky. It'll be a bit, there's no rhythm in there. They'll say each word clearly. They'll pronounce it and I understand them, but it won't sound natural. And then after a minute or two of practicing all these changes, they can say the sentence just like, effectively like a native speaker. There might be a little bit of accent in there, but it's so much easier to understand. It's night and day. All right, so the good news is rhythm is a trainable skill. Practicing these aspects of spoken English, anyone can learn. It just takes time and attention. So with a bit of focused listening and speaking practice, you can absolutely learn to tune your ears to the natural beat of Australian English. You can learn to use reductions and linking confidently and speak more smoothly without overthinking every single word. And I've watched dozens of my students do this in relatively short periods of time. It takes weeks or months, but if they do the exercises, if they do the homework I give them, these changes happen rapidly. So it's like learning to play music, right? At first, you might be counting every beat, but eventually your body feels the rhythm, and that's when the fluency starts to flow. All right, let's do one more little quick rhythm practice together. I'm going to say a few phrases, and I want you to listen and repeat after me. I'll say the first one again slowly, each syllable or word articulated clearly, and then I'll say it naturally. Okay, so listen and repeat after me. I am going to study tonight. I'm going to study tonight. Do you want to have dinner? Do you want to have dinner? I would love to join you. I'd love to join you. Where did you put it? Where did you put it? So pause and practice these a few times. Listen for which syllables are stressed, where the reductions happen, and how the rhythm changes. And just keep working on it, guys. It just takes time. You just have to keep practicing. It's like fitness, a little bit every day, and you just gradually improve over time. So the big takeaway from today's episode, guys, is speaking clearly is important, but speaking with the right rhythm is essential. If you're stuck sounding a bit robotic or too careful, it's probably a rhythm issue, not a vocabulary one. So start paying attention to reductions, linking, stressed beats in Aussie English, listen to podcasts, TV shows, conversations at cafes, and mimic what you hear. Try and say these things out loud. Try and pretend to be like a native speaker. Just play with it, have fun with it. Do that consistently, and your accent will start to shift naturally over time. Again, if you guys want to get private lessons, shoot me an email, pete@aussieenglish.com.au. If you don't want to do the email, just send me a message on Instagram. You'll find me if you search Aussie English, or on Facebook, same thing. And also, if you haven't checked it out, check out my Australian pronunciation course. You can learn all of the different sounds in Australian English and a lot of these tips and tricks with how sounds merge together, how sounds change, rhythm, stress, all that sort of stuff. You can check that out at aussieenglish.com.au/APC100. If you use that link, you'll save $100. So again, go check it out, aussieenglish.com.au/APC100. I'll try and make sure that link is in the description for this episode as well. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Toodaloo.